And I'm really pleased to be here to share with you some activities and strategies that we have tried in Colombia. And I have been teaching grammar for several years, and I have been always concerned about the ways. What is the best way to teach grammar? And there are several and many ways to teach grammar. Many of us have used first rule then practice or providing context, which is really useful. Also first practice then rule. There are different ways to teach grammar in Colombia, and we have tried some of them. And my concerns based on my practice, basically, I have some concerns because I have been teaching grammar in several ways. I have tried the traditional way. I have tried also several functional ways, but I have three concerns. First, how to integrate grammar into the communicative approach. Juan says that our students are not linguistic robots, and I really agree with him, because we have to give the students the context, we have to provide meaningful learning. Another concern is, does the way we teach grammar help learners make meaning within real context? Instead of teaching our students charts, structures, we have to give them context for them to use English in real communication. And at the same time, in Colombia, the Ministry of Education has stated that students in high school, they have to reach B1 level based on the Common European Framework. And students from university, they have to achieve B2 level, but modern languages students, they have to reach C1 level, sorry. Based on that, in Colombia, we have tried, and I have been part of several projects. We have tried some strategies. In 2006, we had the standards for English, standards from primary and high school, also basic learning rights. And from basic learning rights, the Ministry of Education developed the suggested curriculum. And it is contents, how to teach English in Colombia based on context and based on 4 themes. They have developed themes such as globalized world, like environment, like health and life, which are meaningful topics for students. At the same time, the Ministry of Education, and I was part of that, it developed books which were written by Colombian teachers for Colombian teachers. And in the books, we developed some works such as we took into account several topics. And at the same time, we took into account some methods. We considered topic content-based. We also considered the noticing approach. And I totally agree, and I have tried that. Larissa and Freeman suggested that when we teach grammar, and that is my concern, and I totally agree with that. When we teach grammar, we have to focus on 3 aspects, not only the form, but also meaning and the use, because that is the way students use language in context. And based on that, I have tried, and I invite you to try the noticing approach. And I will show you some slides, some examples from English Please 1 and 2 books written by Colombian teachers for Colombian teachers. And nowadays, they are using several books all around the country. This noticing approach gives students the context, which is by reading the text or by listening to some songs, could be conversations or dialogues. At the same time, it provides the students with a focus. Focus on what? Focus on meaning and form. And I think that you have tried concept questions, because concept questions help the students to find out the meaning, the form, and the use of the structure that we are teaching. It means that we are not giving students everything, but we are helping students to discover what we are teaching and what the language focus is. And at the same time, we focus attention on some topics. I'm going to show you some aspects, some examples, of the English Please books. Here we have one example from English Please 1, from the noticing approach. And basically students listen to something. And based on the context, students listen to that, and at the end, there is one part from the book which is focus on language. And focus on language is providing students the tools to discover the language. And if we read the 3 questions we have, are there sentences about the present, the past, or the future? Do the sentences describe plans, daily routines, or past situations? Was it the affirmative and negative form? If we considered Lars and Freeman, we are helping students to discover the 3 aspects that we have to focus when we teach grammar, which are form, meaning, and use, which is very useful. And as you can see, students in this aspect from this book, English Please 1, they are talking about environment. I have another example from English Please 2. In the previous example, we have a listening text. In this example, we have a reading text. Students read a text. There are some like words which are underlined. And from that text, students also discover the grammar, which means students are reading about something that is meaningful to them, which is like contextualized meaning, and at the same time they are discovering the grammar and then they produce. And I also have something that I created. When I was teaching my students how to use the noticing approach, which is really great and meaningful for them, I tried this. This is the lyrics of a song. The song is called Cruel Summer. Cruel Summer by Ace of Base, and I included the lyrics of the song in this letter. I invented the letter, I created the letter, and the students listened to the song, and then they had to identify the parts of the lyrics. Then I wrote some ideas, or because the letter is about problems. If you have some time to read the letter, it is about love problems, so a cruel summer. And at the end, we have some pieces of advice to the person having the problem. And based on the pieces of advice, I asked my students to focus on language, which is basically phrases which are involved, and the phrases are basically about giving pieces of advice. It means we use should when we want to ask for permission or give recommendation. And that is basically what we want students to discover. Instead of giving them charts, structures, which are boring for them, we have to provide the students with context and for them to discover, because they are not stupid. Our students are very intelligent, and the idea is that they are used to receiving everything. But when we try this, students become like more independent and autonomous, and they discover the language. And I have some like questions for them. The underlying phrases express recommendation about the past, the future, the present. And if you can see here, the idea with the noticing approach is to provide the students tools to discover the meaning, the form, and the use. After this, what we had is like an activity to work on using giving a recommendation to other people. What I want to focus basically is that in Colombia, we have tried several ways to teach grammar. When students go to observe teachers, they see that teachers teach English in the traditional way, which is using structures, using charts. So my invitation for everyone is to use the noticing approach to try this. And if you want to take a look at the books that we have written in Colombia, you can find the books in Colombia Aprende. The books are really interesting. They are topic-based. They have a cultural aspect, because that is also important. We work on the noticing approach, meaningful learning, and topics which are meaningful for students. My invitation then is to help the students to notice the gap. Instead of telling them and giving them the charts, we have to give them context. If they notice the gap, so they can notice the gap through the context. First, to give input. My students complain too much when they go to observe classes and they see teachers, but the teachers teach the traditional way. Instead of using that, I invite them to use the context, either oral or like a reading text, and they are using that. Through context, students can notice the gap, and they can make students become aware of the language. It means to focus on form, meaning, and use. And if they become aware of the language, they can know the language because they are using the language and they are knowing about the language. They are putting into practice what the structure is. And at the same time, to focus on meaning, form, and use. And if we focus on those three aspects, we provide meaningful learning and we make student-centered lessons, which is basically what we have to consider, because we are not the center of the classes, but our students are.